Mimi wewe, mimi nitakufana wewe, mimi wewe, mimi nitakufana wewe. Ni baraka za Mungu na malaika zimefanya mimi nawe tujuane. Sina shaka maana imeandikwa, ndege warukao wafanane. Sisi kila mwadini wana namna zifana, tumelishana yamini kwa dua sio kafara, sio nyuzi 90 wala bukushindara, mambo ya kuzini tuwe halali fahala. Kama mapenzi ugonjwa majuni kabisa keleza, natachangoni ndo kitu majuni huyu kanileza, na sitaki nishauriwe, sitaki nishauriwe, na sitaki nishauriwe, sitaki nishauriwe.
Yes, hamjambo, and welcome to another beautiful opportunity for us to learn Swahili right here on the Blackwood Fire. We hope that you're doing fantastic and you're happy to be with us on this particular platform. At the end of the day, the goal is to learn Swahili. If you are actually a beginner, feel welcome. If you are at an intermediate level, feel also welcome. Whatever level you might be in your learning of Swahili, I want to welcome you so much. I have just played as a song. It's known as a Sitaki. Sitaki simply means I do not want, and this is a song by an East African artist. He goes by the name Mbosso. Mbosso is a Tanzanian. He is actually from Dar es Salaam. And what I would actually say is that if you're trying to learn Swahili, I would urge you to find some songs that you can listen to, be it Swahili songs with some subtitles. That would actually go a long way in terms of helping you learn this beautiful language of Swahili. And sitaki is actually a common phrase. It means I do not want. And the opposite of that is ninataka. If actually someone is telling you that they want something, they would say ninataka, N-I-N-A, nina, and then T-A-K-A, taka, ninataka. That is what they would say if they wanted something. But the opposite of that is sitaki. For example, if you just put it down, you would say nina taka, which is a phrase meaning I want, which is a phrase meaning I want. But if you wanted to negate that particular sentence, you would say, I do not want. You would say sitaki. That is exactly what you would say. You would say that sitaki. Sitaki is I-S-I-T-A-K-I. It's the opposite. I do not want. And in our previous classes, I taught us that if you're trying to negate something, you normally use the syllable C, S-I, S-I. S-I exists a phrase, a syllable that negates, used as a prefix syllable, used as a prefix to the root verb to negate. So the syllable C is used as a prefix to the root verb to negate that particular root verb. For example, if someone says Rudi, Rudi simply means go back. Rudi means return. Rudi means return. Rudi means return or go back. But if someone says Sirudi, it means they will not go back. They will not go back. If someone says Sirudi, it means I will not go back. I will not return. I will not return, or I will not go back. And therefore, what you have to realize in that particular context is that even with that particular song that I've played you, which is known as sitaki, sitaki means I do not want. But if someone was to say ninataka, it would mean they want. And the easiest way for you to actually make a request for anything is to say ninataka. Ninataka, for example, if you wanted money, you would simply say ninataka pesa. If you wanted some money, you would say ninataka pesa. If you didn't want some money, you would say sitaki pesa. Sitaki pesa. You would say sitaki. You would say sitaki. Sitaki. You would say sitaki. And it's understood that you do not want. You do not want. You do not want. And when it comes to also maybe perhaps requesting for the same thing, you might say nipe, N-I-P-E, N-I-P-E. It's nipe. And when you say nipe, nipe means give me, give me. Nipe. It's just two syllables, but it means give me. And if you say nipatie, nipatie is also the longer version of it. And nipatie also means give me. If someone says nipatie sukari, then that would be give me sugar. If you say nipatie chumvi, it would mean give me some salt. So chumvi, which is C-H-U-M-V-I, it means salt. So for example, you're sitting at a dinner table and you wanted someone to pass you some salt, you would say nipatie chumvi. Or you might say ninataka chumvi, which is I want some salt. You might say ninataka chumvi kidogo. And when you say chumvi kidogo, it's simply understood to be just a little bit amount of salt. So the kidogo, we have learned in previous classes that kidogo in Swahili, it means a little, a little. And you might say nipatie maji kidogo. If you say nipatie maji kidogo, it simply means give me a little bit of water. Give me a little bit of water. And it's not even difficult. It's actually very, very easy for you to be able to understand and comprehend that. Today we shall be picking up from where we left last time, and we were talking about noun classes last time. We were still in the spirit of learning Swahili grammar, the nouns, and at some point we'll move from the nouns, go to the verbs and the adjectives. But every now and then I get to mix up. For example, when I was telling you about the kidogo, kidogo is simply just an adjective, and it shows the qualitative aspect of whatever you're asking for. Sorry, the quantitative aspect. So you say kidogo, it means just a little. Kidogo, it means just a little. If you say chumvi kidogo, it would mean a little salt. If you say sukari kidogo, it would mean just a little bit of sugar, and so on and so forth. That is how you get to use the word kidogo in that particular context. But remember, if you want anything, say ninataka. If you do not want something, say sitaki, sitaki. For example, if someone was to ask you, je, unataka nini? N-I-N-I is for what? N-I-N-I means what? N-I-N-I, it simply means what? It simply means what? And therefore, if anyone was asking you, what do you want? What do you want? They would say, unataka nini? Unataka nini? Which is U-N-A-T-K-A. K-A means, T-A-K-A means want. So if someone says unataka nini, if someone says they mean, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want? And you want and say, ninataka maji, which is I want some water. Or you might say, ninataka pesa, which is money, you want money. Or you might respond and say, sitaki chochote, which is I do not want anything. I do not want anything. So if anyone was extending and they were just inquiring, they were just curious, what do you want? If they were curious and they were wondering, what is it that you want? And they asked you, je, unataka nini? Which is, what do you want? You might respond and say, for example, it is water. You might say ninataka maji. If it's food, you would say ninataka chakula. If it's maybe perhaps money, you would say ninataka pesa. If it's perhaps clothing, you would say ninataka nguo. Ninataka nguo. Because for clothing, normally you just say nguo, and nguo is for clothing. Nguo is for clothing. Nguo is for clothing. So up to that particular point, I do hope that you're moving along just nicely with us. But in case you are not, you feel free to ask a question. You can interject at any point, and I will be more than glad to respond to your question regarding anything that we get to learn even as we move on. So feel free to ask anything at any point. And we have said in our previous classes that a question is known as swali. Swali is a question. If you want to ask a question, you can simply ask. You can say niko na swali. Niko na swali is I have a question. Niko na swali is I have a question. I have a question. If someone says niko na swali, I would respond to them and tell them, ask, please, please ask. I would say, please ask. And that would be, uliza tafadhali. Uliza is to ask. Uliza tafadhali. So ask, please. Uliza tafadhali is ask, please. Ask, please. So if anyone has a question in this particular segment, even as we continue learning, you can ask a question. So remember, if anyone is asking you what you want, they would ask, je, unataka nini? Je, unataka nini? And if anyone was to respond, they would say, ninataka, which is I want. 1, maji, which is water. 2, chai, 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 that is for tea. So maybe perhaps you want to get some tea. So therefore, someone would say, ninataka chai. If they wanted to have some milk, they would say maziwa. 3-syllable word, very easy, maziwa. Maziwa simply means milk. So if someone wanted to have some milk and chocolate milk, they would say maziwa. So what is it that you want? What is it that you want? Maybe perhaps you want to have some milk. Then you would say, ninataka maziwa, maziwa. And in case you want just a little bit amount of milk, then you would say, ninataka maziwa kidogo, maziwa kidogo. It's not complicated. It's not difficult. What happens is that you have to be very, very steadfast in your practice of the language. You know, we do say that always practice makes perfect. So if you're not practicing your Swahili well, then it means that at the end of the day, you will not remember what we were talking about, what the context was, or whatever that meant. So therefore, it is very, very important that you get to check out these particular classes. Just take your time. You can even have them as audiobooks because some of those particular words I get to spell them once and again. For example, if I say kidogo, it's Kidogo, kidogo. It means a literal. So you might say nipe maji kidogo, which is give me a little bit amount of water. Nipe maji kidogo. If you wanted some milk, you would say nipe maziwa kidogo, nipe maziwa kidogo, and that would be please give me some milk. Give me a little bit of milk. And that is the way it would be. And when something has been given to you, you know, a favor has actually been served or rendered, then you would actually say asante sana, which is thanks a lot. Nimeshukuru. Nimeshukuru is I appreciate. Thanks a lot, I appreciate. Ninashukuru sana is I appreciate a lot. Shukuru, shukran means thanks. Shukran means thanks. So if someone wants to say ninashukuru sana, if someone wants to say ninashukuru sana, if someone wants to say ninashukuru sana, then I will be I appreciate a lot. We have a literal is kidogo. A literal is kidogo. A lot, you would say sana. S-A, and it's two sana, A-N-A. So clip that. The word sana means a lot. You know, it's a 2-syllable word. It's 2-syllable only, but it means a lot. So if you're talking about you're very appreciative of someone, you would say asante sana, which is thanks a lot. And if you would say maybe perhaps you're running late to some place and you happen to be very, very late, then you would say nimechelewa sana. Chelewa means to be late. Chelewa, it means to be late. So if you say ni points to self. Once again, every other class, I will always say that ni points to self, ni points to I. So if you're referring to yourself and you're pointing to self, therefore you would say ni mechelewa sana. That is how you would say ni mechelewa sana. But if maybe perhaps you're somewhere late, you might say nimekuja mapema sana. Sana, it means a lot. It is an emphasis, very. The emphasis is very and emphasizes a lot. So therefore, if maybe perhaps you requested for something, like I did say, you always do say, tafadhali ninataka maji. Ninataka maji is I want water. But then again, you have to move a little bit further from that. You've been already served the water and you say thanks, and you can say asanti sana, or you can say ninashukuru sana, which is I am really, really appreciative of you serving me the water, which is you have to thank someone for that. And apart from that, I would also like to say that when Swahili is a very, very polite language. Swahili is a very, very polite language. And when you're requesting for something, or when you are thanking someone for giving you something, you can always also maybe perhaps talk about the next time that you might have an encounter with them, and therefore you would say na tukipatana patana with someone. Pata is to get, pata is to get, it means to get, for example, nimepata kazi, which is I've gotten a job. Nimepata kazi, which is I've gotten a job. Or you might say nimepata pesa, which is I've gotten some money. But you might also say pata in the context of meeting someone else, meeting someone or being someone. And you might say kwa wakati mwingine, wakati means time. And if someone says wakati mwingine means some other time, you might say kwa wakati mwingine tukipatana nitafurahia. So wakati mwingine, wakati mwingine, it means another time. Wakati mwingine, it means another time. It means another time. Wakati mwingine, it simply means another time. It simply means another time. So what you get to realize is that there are times of the day. And for example, if you're meeting with someone in the morning, that happens to be asubuhi. But also, in the context of what I just shared here, wakati mwingine, remember that when you're talking about something, someone offering you something, maybe perhaps, would you like to have some tea? And your answer is maybe some other time. No, maybe some other time. So when you say some other time, you would say labda kwa wakati mwingine. Labda is a Swahili for maybe. Labda is a Swahili for maybe. Is Swahili for maybe. Labda is a Swahili for maybe, and therefore, if someone says labda kwa wakati mwingine, so labda kwa wakati mwingine, labda kwa wakati mwingine, then that will be maybe some other time. So people will always maybe ask you, would you be interested in this or that? Would you like to buy some shoes? Would you like to buy some books? And at that particular time, you do not want to buy none of that. So you would say labda kwa wakati mwingine. Labda kwa wakati mwingine is simply how you would respond to them. And it would be very, very good. It would be in order. Actually, it would be in order if you responded to them with the labda kwa wakati mwingine. Because you might say yes or no, but you might also say maybe some other time. But if you said yes, unataka kununua viatu, nunua means to buy, or unataka kula chakula, and you didn't want that, you would say hapana. Hapana is for no. Hapana, Hapana, that is for no. So therefore, someone might ask, je, unataka kula chakula? And I would come up and say hapana. Hapana, asante, no thanks. Hapana, asante. Then that is no thanks. But if yes, you wanted to have some food, you would say ndio, ningetaka kula chakula. Ndio means yes. Ndio simply means yes. Ndio, it means yes. Ndio, it means yes. But if you meant no, if you actually wanted to say no, you would say hapana. If you wanted to respond in the positive, you'd say yes, ndio. If you wanted to say maybe some other time, then that means you would say labda wakati mwingine. And it's not even difficult. It's normally very, very, very simple. Rahisi sana. If something is simple, we do say rahisi. If something is difficult, we do say ngumu. Ngumu. So, for example, if I'm telling you that Swahili is very, very easy, I would say Swahili ni lugha rahisi sana kuelewa. It means Swahili is a very, very simple language to understand. Very, very simple language to understand. And there's nothing complicated about Swahili. Like I did say, always use my palm. I do say we have 5 hours. And of course, are the consonants are made up of all the letters of the English alphabet apart from X and Q. And therefore, you will not find X and Q on the Swahili alphabet, but all the other letters on the alphabet they comprise the Swahili consonants, and also the other special class of consonants which you have learned and we shall continue to learn even as we continue. We shall take a short break. Itachukua muda kidogo, but we shall continue with the same. And I do hope that you are also able to ask a question at any point. But this is just a break. The same song, it's known as Sitaki. And let me know how you feel about the song. It's actually on piano and bongo.
Wewe mimi nitakufa na wewe, ni baraka za Mungu na malaika zimefanya mimi nawe tujuane. Sina shaka maana imeandikwa, ndege warukao wafanane. Sisi kila muadhini wala namna diswa, tume na yamini kwa dua sio kafara, sio nyusi tisini wala buku shindara. Mambo ya kuzinizini tuwe halali twala. Kama mapenzi ugonjwa macho kabisa kenyeza, takachangoni ndo kikula chumi huyu kanimeza. Na sitaki nishauriwe, sitaki nishauriwe, na sitaki nishauriwe, sitaki nishauriwe. Ngamia wangu anifae jangwani, nimemwombea dua tusiishie njiani. Ngamia wangu anifae jangwani.
So we are back. We are back with the class. We just played your song once again. The name of the song is Sitaki, and Sitaki simply means I do not want. For him, he was talking about I do not want to be advised, and he was saying Sitaki nishauriwe, which is I do not want anyone's advice. It is me in this relationship, and how we relate with this other person is just my own business. So mind your own business. I do not want to be advised on anything, and you can keep your own advice to your own self, which is the spirit in most relationships. You know, people will come up and advise you for what you should be doing in your relationship, or even just leave alone relationships. Even for like, if you had a farm or a garden, and you wanted to plant, you know, let's say some corn, some maize, some beans, some potatoes, some whatever thing you wanted to plant, people will always come and have their own opinions about your own farm and about your own garden on what you should plant where. And they have their own garden, which is actually not organized in any good shape or form. And therefore, you're getting advice from someone who will never even take their own advice. That is why, from this particular song, Bosso, who is a Tanzanian artist, is talking about, I do not want any advice. I do not want any advice. And you know, people would say that love is blind, and there's a line. He said that, you know, there's what we call kengeza. Kengeza, I don't know what the name for kengeza in Swahili are in English, but it's when your eyes, like they point, or they, is it called, look, I don't know, there's a way your eyes look. It's not they look forward, but they look on the sideway. But it's called kengeza. He said, even if my eye and eyesight is like that, I do not care. Let me just remain like light. If love is blind, let me just stay blind. I don't want to hear your advice. But yes, that is Amboso, and we are back with the other class. My name is Spikes. In Swahili, we do say jina langu ni Spikes, which is my name is. For example, if your name is Mary or Wilson or Alex or Jane or maybe perhaps whatever your name is, you would say jina langu ni Jane, jina langu ni Wilson, jina langu ni Alex, jina langu ni Annette. Whatever your name would be, you would introduce yourself as always saying jina langu ni. So for me, once again, my name is Spikes. Jina langu ni Spikes. Jina is Jina, which is name. Langu is mine. Jina langu. And you say the syllable ni is interpreted to is. So it says jina langu ni Spikes. Je, wewe, how about you? Je, wewe, or wewe je. And that is simply an easy way of getting acquainted. We were learning about responding, and we were also highlighting about the times of the day. And we did say, for example, in the morning, we would always say, if you're greeting someone and it's in the context of a morning, in Swahili, you would say habari ya asubuhi. Habari ya asubuhi, which is how is your morning? How is your morning? If someone says hujambo, hujambo is hello, and then they followed up to say hujambo, and then you respond and say sijambo, and then they would say habari ya asubuhi. Habari ya asubuhi, they're asking how is your morning? You can respond and say salama. Salama is well. You can respond and say njema. Njema means okay. You can respond and say nzuri. Nzuri, which is good. So all those three responses are good. But salama, salama simply also means to be safe. If you're safe, then someone would say salama, salama. If you're very safe, someone would say, excuse me. If you're very safe, someone would say salama sana, asante, which is I am very well, thank you, thank you. And then I might ask wewe je or je wewe, which is how about you. And then they might respond and say nipo salama pia or niko salama pia, niko salama pia. If someone is talking about they are good, they are well, and they're talking about their health, they would say niko, which is I am buheri muafia. Buheri muafia means very healthy. I am doing good and I'm healthy. Buheri muafia. They might say nashukuru Mungu. Nashukuru Mungu is I thank God. But let's talk about the context of the day and times of the day, because language also, the context matters. So if you're talking about the morning hours, for the morning hours, you would say asubuhi, asubuhi. The opposite of the morning is in the evening. So in the evening, you would say jioni, let's put it down, jioni, which is evening. So if someone asks habari ya jioni, they are simply asking how is your evening. If someone asks how is your evening, how is your evening, and you might respond and say salama. You might respond and say nzuri. You might respond. There are so many responses to that particular one, but the main point is you realize that it has also to be in the context of the day, because I did say asubuhi is for the morning, zioni is for the evening. For the afternoon, yes, the afternoon or the noon time, you would say aduhuri, aduhuri for the afternoon. But if it's late afternoon from 3 to 4, around 3 to 4, then you would say alasiri, alasiri, ala siri, which is for the late afternoon. Then that would be for the late afternoon. Someone would say alasiri for the late afternoon. And it's not difficult. The main point is that you keep on remembering, and these particular times of the day and what exactly it is that they mean. I did say if you're talking about the morning, you would say asubuhi. If you're talking about the evening, then you would say jioni. If you're talking about aduhuri, then you might talk about that is in the evening. But let me share with you also other times of the day according to our Swahili class notes. The time of the day, if you're talking about the daytime is known as mchana, as you can see. Mchana is for the daytime. If you're talking about the night, you would say usiku. For example, you're planning a meeting with someone and you want to meet in the evening, in the nighttime, you would say usiku. And if you're talking about the morning, you would say asubuhi for the morning. For the noon, you would say aduhuri. For the afternoon, you would say alasiri. For the evening, you would say jioni. For dawn, very early in the morning, you would say machweo. For dusk, you would say machweo. You would say machweo. And someone might also ask you about maybe perhaps the days of the week. The days of the week. If you're talking about the very first day, you would say Jumamosi, Jumamosi, Jumamosi on Saturday. That is one, Mosi, Jumamosi on Saturday. If you're talking about the second day, you would say Jumapili. Jumapili is the second day. If you're talking about the third day is Monday. Monday is translated into Jumatatu in Swahili. If you're talking about Tuesday, you would say Jumanne. Jumanne. Jumanne means Tuesday. If you're talking about Wednesday, you would say Jumatano. If you're talking about Thursday, you would say Alhamisi. If you're talking about Friday, you would say Ijuma. Ijuma. That is simply how you would put it. And it's not even difficult. I always do insist that Swahili is a very, very easy language to learn. You just have to remember the vowels. The vowel which is the English letter M, the vowel which is the English letter E, the vowel O, which is the English letter O, the vowel U, which is the English letter U, the vowel E, which is the English letter I. So once you have that and you remember those, R, E, E, O, U. Once you remember those, then you can actually start practicing and improving on your Swahili. I always keep on saying Swahili is not difficult. Swahili sio lugha ngumu. Swahili ni lugha ambayo ni rahisi sana kuielewa. Swahili is a very, very easy language to understand. Every 7th of July, is it 7th or 17th? 7th of July, we mark the International Day of Swahili. And the International Day of Swahili is when people get to highlight the significance of this beautiful language, because I always do insist that it is very, very beautiful, and learning the language also does not cost you much, because we do have a whole lot of resources that you can use, and these resources are actually available on Duolingo app. You can actually check it out on Duolingo app, or you can also find it on archives of previous classics that you have done right here. If you're talking about Saturday, I did say it's Jumamosi, Friday is Juma, but also for tomorrow you would say Kesho. For yesterday you would say Jana. For today you would say Leo, which is Leo, like you would say the star sign Leo. That is the way you would say it, like you would say in the star sign Leo. Nonetheless, we shall go back to the music once again, and then we shall come back and we shall pick it up from there, getting to learn a little bit more of this beautiful language, which is Swahili. Yes, once again, we and the goal, of course, on this particular platform is to learn Someone might always ask, why is it that you guys choose Swahili over any other language? It is because it is the most prolific. If you come to the continent and even outside the continent, the Swahili language has over 200 million speakers. And therefore, if you're looking for a language to connect to the people of Africa with, then Swahili is that language. There are many other languages on the continent. I always keep on saying, for example, the Shona, the Bemba, Kikuyu, Kikamba, Kinyarwanda, Kibaganda, so many languages, about 1,500 languages, over 1,500 languages. But I always keep on insisting that Swahili is that language that we can always run and organize ourselves around because it is very prolific and people have found, a way of speaking it and embracing it. And therefore, I do hope that even in the near future, maybe perhaps we might see it also be an embrace in Ethiopia as well. Because for me, I would love to see the Somali people and also, other communities also embrace this language. In Somalia, yes, they decided that they will introduce it in their national curriculum. In Ethiopia, I think they haven't done it so. They haven't done so yet, but I hope they would find the need because there is an urgent need for Africans to unite, and that is why we do have the Black White Fire Network. To unite our people, to inspire that unity among our people, whether be it on the continent or even be it off the continent. So therefore, that is exactly why we do what we do, and we do it with pride. We do it with a whole lot of positivity and optimism that at some point people will actually wake up and realize, wait a minute, we need to unite, we need to rally behind one cause, which is the Pan African cause, and have that African renaissance. But we can only be able to do so when we bridge the gaps, when we have bridges. And one of the bridges is language. Once we do have one language, then we can be able to do much more and speak and connect and trade and do a whole lot of things. Then apart from that, then if you were to have one currency, that would actually be a very, very big plus. Apart from the currency, now jump into one military and political system. Then that would also do us a whole lot of great a deal of getting us together for development and working to protect our own resources and have control over our own resources. Those are some of the ideological ideas that we do foresee, and we do hope that at some point, if Africans were to rise up, whether be it in Nigeria, Namibia, Swaziland, Senegal, Cote d'Ivoire, Seychelles, Mauritius, Kenya, wherever it be, if at all there was that goal to unify our people, then language plays a very, very key role in terms of helping us get there, and in terms of also shaping the future of this particular continent. Because if Africans get it right, whether be it in Nigeria, in Kenya, in South Africa, even our people anywhere in the Caribbean, in South America, in America itself, then we would have something to be very, very proud about. And that is why we do have this particular platform. Remember, you can support and remember you can support and patronize this particular platform by going to www.blackcodfirenetwork.com. It's written on the screen right here. And when you head over to www.blackcodfirenetwork.com, you can sign up. Once you sign up, you would be able to find the notifications of when new posts I'll put up on the blog, when new podcasts I'll put up on the blog, and when we are also having live shows, you will be able to find that. You will find out about that on the website as well. So visit www.blackcodfirenetwork.com, and once you are on there, you will be able to find a whole lot of our resources. So click that. Welcome to the Black Code Fire Network. It's media for the 21st century. And on this particular platform, we do hope to inspire collective African consciousness and also unity, because united we stand, but divided we are always fallen and defeated. But if we do stand together, then we can be able to do much more as an African people or as a melanated people anywhere around the world, not just in Africa, not just in South America, not just in America itself, not just anywhere around the world. We will be able to do exploits. And one of the ways in which we are inspiring this particular unity and connection of our people is through language. That is why we do have the Saturday and Sunday Saudi classes on the Black Fire Network, courtesy of Keith Newsom, the CEO and founder of the Black Fire Network. We really appreciate the work that you're doing. And also, there are numerous shows on the network. You can listen to the shows by Zobi, you can listen to shows by Ashmani, shows by Kamlesh, shows by. We do have a family, and we do have so many shows set up for you on the network. So, in case you're joining us or just finding out about the Black Fire Network, feel at home and you can connect and you can also really just make new connections and push forward with the goal of inspiring our people anywhere to be more and to go back to the place of global prominence where we do come from. We come from a place where we have civilized. We have been the keepers, for lack of a better word, the custodians of civilization. Then again, now history is turned upside down, and we find ourselves in a really, really difficult place. But we have to honor our own narratives, honor our own history, and also now inspire the future from here as an African people, as a Black people, anywhere globally connected as one voice, as and one powerhouse. So yes, let's go back to Swahili. The language is very, very beautiful. I did say, in case you're learning it, you can use numerous tools. Number one, you do have the Duolingo app. It does translations for the languages. We also do have other resources like the archives of videos that we have done before, right here on this particular platform. If you go back and search on Black or Africa on YouTube, then you'll find all those particular classes. I'll try to put them together so that it becomes like a playlist. But yes, you can find all those classes. I'll make that particular playlist because I think it's very, very wonderful. Even on this one, I do hope we would be better placed if we did have a playlist of our classes only, and you can listen to the classes back to back to back. So let's go back to the notes. I had taken a bit of a detour right there, and I want us to go now into verbs, learning verbs. Verbs are action words. For example, eat, play, sing, sleep, cook, jump, watch. All those particular words, they are verbs. And in Swahili, we call them vitenzi, vitenzi, vitenzi. Let me just put it down. In Swahili, we call them vitenzi, vitenzi, meaning verbs. It means verbs. So if someone is trying to teach you about the verbs, we do say vitenzi, vitenzi. Actions in Swahili are known as vitendo. So the word vitenzi comes from actions because verbs are action words. So vitendo, this means actions. And vitendo, they fall in the key V class of noun. Remember, we were studying about nouns and we were learning about noun classes. And we did say we do have the key V class of noun. The key V class of noun constitutes all the words that start with the syllable ki in their singular and the syllable V in their plural. For example, kiatu is a shoe, viatu are shoes. If you're talking about one action, you would say kitendo. Kitendo is for one action. If you're talking about many actions, you would say vitendo, which is for actions. But our focus for today is on action, the verbs, and we call them vitenzi. For example, in the word lala simply means sleep. Lala, it means sleep. Lala, it means sleep. The most common verbs you mention in your day-to-day composition, you might have the word lala, which simply means sleep. You might have the word kula, which means to eat. That is the word kula. It simply means to eat. You might have the word amka, which means to wake. Amka, which means to wake. Amka, which simply means to wake. You might have the word inuka, which means to rise. Inuka, which means to rise. Inuka, which means to rise. If you're talking about sitting down, you would say keti, Keti. This is the verb for sit. It's the verb for sit. If someone is simply telling you sit down, they would say keti chini. Keti chini would be keti chini, and that would be sit down. Keti chini. Keti chini, that will be sit down. Sit down is for keti chini. Sit down is for keti chini. If you're talking about maybe cook, you would say pika. Pika. That is for cook. If you're talking about walk or visit, then you say tembea. Tembea is for walk. walk, all visit, walk, all visit. And therefore, these are some of the most common verbs. If you're talking about speaking, you would say ongea. Speaking, you would say ongea. That is for speaking. You would say ongea, ongea for speaking. Nyamaza, nyamaza is for, now being quiet. Shut down, shut up. Would say nyamaza. Nyamaza, nyamaza, nyamaza. That is for shut up. So these are some of the most popular verbs. So shiba, shiba means to be full. So someone says in a shiba, it means you've gotten full. You've gotten full. The act of being full. You would say shiba. You would say nime shiba is I am full now. Nimekula, nimekunywa. Kunywa means to drink. Kunywa now means to drink. Kunywa means to drink. So those are some of the most popular verbs you have that you might mention in a day-to-day. Va means to wear. Va means to wear. Va, it means to wear. Va, it simply means to wear. If you're talking about maybe see something, to see, you say honor, honor. If you're talking about buying something, you would say nunua, nunua. Nunua is for buying. If you're talking about selling something, the verb for that is uza, uza, uza. Uza is for to sell. If you're a farmer and you're talking about growing, you would say kuza, K-U-Z-A, kuza, K-U-Z-A. And it's not even difficult. It is normally very, very easy for anyone to remember. And it's always a delight to have that particular composition and vibe going in that regard. Nonetheless, if you do have a question, tafadhali uliza. If you do have a question, please ask. If anyone feels they have a question, please ask. I would be more than glad to respond. If anyone feels they have a question, please ask. If anyone feels they have a question, please ask. If anyone feels they have a question, please ask. If anyone feels you have a question, tafadhali uliza swali. If you have a question, tafadhali uliza. Kama means if. Kama means if. Remember we did say that labda means maybe. Labda means maybe. But if you're talking about if this and that, if I eat some more food, I will be full. If. Kama. If you're talking about maybe you say labda. Maybe you would say labda. So at that particular point, if you do have a question, please ask. We shall be talking about the tense markers. I think we have mentioned about them in previous episodes. The tense marker for the present continuous is na. So for example, if you are eating, you would say ni nakula, ni nakula. The ni points to self, the na is a tense marker. We also learned that we have the tense markers for the past. And the tense markers for the past, we do have li, L-I, the syllable li, that is a tense marker for the past. The syllable li, that is a tense marker for the past. The syllable ta, that is simply the tense marker for the future. The tense marker for the future. And you would say ni ta kula. So it is used as a prefix before the root verb. If you say ni, which is pointing to self, and then say ta is a tense marker for the future. And then you say kula, then it means I will eat. I will eat. And that action will simply happen in the future. That action will simply happen in the future. And therefore, if anyone says nitakula, it's understood to be that will happen in the future. If anyone was saying nilikula, then that is understood to be in the past. If someone says nilikula, If someone says nilikula, it's understood to be in the past. It's understood to be in the past, and therefore it means I did, I ate. I ate. But if you're talking about the future, you would say nitakula, nitakula. And simply that is how you would actually go about. So, yes, once again, I think I was just saying that some of the most popular verbs, I've mentioned them that have to do with normal day to day conversations like walking, waking up, sitting down, sleeping, eating, drinking. If you go into the washroom, you would say Nanda Msalani, which is I'm going to the washroom, which is also another. Enda means go. Enda means go. Rudi means come. So therefore, some of these particular popular verbs, they are very, very easy for you to remember. Most of them are two syllables or three syllables, two or three syllable words. Enda is two syllables. Rudi is two syllables. Keti is two syllables. Lala is two syllables. And therefore, most of these particular words, the most popular nouns, the most popular verbs, most of them they are in two or three syllables. Two or three syllables. You will not find a very, very long Swahili word. Let me just think of the longest Swahili word. I even do not have an idea what is the longest Swahili word. Let me just, because I'm just trying to figure, according to the language, um, let me see if I find that. Um, I have something quite interesting. I have something quite interesting here. I have something. I found it. It's quite interesting to me because I've never thought about it. But this is a question. This is not really one word. This is not really one word. This is actually a sentence. So I was just saying that most of the verbs in Swahili they have two syllables or three syllables. Two or three syllables. But now, apparently, when I Google what is the longest word in Swahili, what is the longest Swahili word, the answer I'm given, this is not even a word. This is actually like a sentence, and it's like it's a question. Kipi kikusitiki chacho, which means what is bothering you? What is bothering you? This is just combining. Swahili is an agglutinative language that allows for creation of a long words from combining a root, and that is exactly what I do find from that. That is exactly what I do find from. That is exactly what I do find from that. So what I do find from that is that that is a long word. Kipi kiku sikitishacho. That is what is bothering you. But then again, that is not one word. That is not one word. That happens to be many. That is a question. That is not even one word. But anyway, if you do have a question, please ask. I will be more than glad to ask. I will be more than glad to ask. there is a syllable that we learned about. It's a syllable ku. It's a syllable ku. And the syllable ku, it is used as a prefix for the root verb to show that the verb is in action. For example, the word on the screen is lala. Lala means sleep. Lala means sleep. But if you're talking about to sleep, which is the verb in action, to sleep, then you would say kulala, kulala, kulala. For example, if you would say mtoto anataka kulala, mtoto anataka kulala, mtoto is a child, mtoto is a child, is a child. And therefore, if anyone says mtoto anataka kulala, if anyone says mtoto anataka kulala, which is mtoto anataka kulala, mtoto anataka kulala, then that would be the baby wants to sleep. And that would be the baby wants to sleep. The baby wants to sleep. Mtoto anataka kulala. The baby or the child wants to sleep. So I would say kulala. Kulala. The kulala is the verb in action. So it is to sleep. If you're talking about kula means to eat. Kula means eat. But if I do say kula, then that happens to be to eat. To eat. So if you use the syllable ku as a prefix for the root verb, then it shows that the verb is in action. That is essentially what that means, that the verb is in action. The verb is in action. For example, if you're talking about ongea, ongea means to speak. Ongea, it means to speak. It means speak. But if you do say ongea, ku as a prefix for the root verb ongea, then that means to speak. It shows the verb in action, to speak. Therefore, you would say ongea, that would be to speak. And that would be to speak, ku ongea. If you're talking about to play, you would say cheza. But if you're talking about to play, you would say cheza. But if you're talking about to play, then you would say ku cheza. Because cheza means play. Cheza means play or dance. It means play. It means play. But if someone says ku cheza, someone says ku cheza, someone says ku cheza, it means to play. It means to play. Someone says kucheza, it simply means to play, and it's not even difficult. It's very, very easy for you to remember. If someone says kunywa is drink. But if someone says kunywa, then that would be to drink, because kunywa is drink. Kunywa is drink. But he said kunywa, then that would be kunywa, then that would be to drink. Kunywa, then that would be to drink. And it's not even difficult. So we shall be learning more about the verbs. Like I did say, the verbs in Swahili, they are known as kitenzi. Kitenzi is one verb, but if you're talking about too many verbs, you would say vitenzi. And then we do have mnyambuliko or vitenzi, how the verbs flow. The order of verbs, how the verbs do get to flow. We shall be getting to learn that maybe perhaps in our next class tomorrow. So make sure you stay with us right here on the platform, which is Black Hot Network, because tomorrow we shall continue the same class and we shall be learning more about verbs. We learned about nouns. We did say nouns are known as majina. The nouns are also known as nomino. And we did have the order of nouns, which is ngeli za nomino. We learned about the noun classes, and we said that there are 9 noun classes. We broke them down: the kivi, the mwa or awam, the jima. We did get to learn about those particular ones. If you want to refer to that particular class, check out our previous class on the archive of this particular YouTube channel, and you will be able to find that and much more on this particular platform. So I want to thank everyone for being with us in class for today, and I want to wish you a happy and a productive rest of the day. Much peace and love. Till next time, I want to say kwaheri.